When I'm asked by someone to look at a leaning tree and determine whether or not it's in danger of falling over, there are a bunch of different things that I consider. But the four things that I look at first are: why is the tree leaning? What percentage of the tree's life has it been leaning? Why hasn't it fallen all the way to the ground? And what would be the consequences of it falling to the ground? In my opinion, it's vitally important to determine whether or not the tree is leaning or if the tree is curved. If the trunk of a tree is curved, it very likely grew that way and may not be at elevated risk of falling over. However, if the trunk of the tree is straight, but it's on an angle, it's leaning to one side, that probably warrants closer investigation. There are many reasons why a tree might be growing with a curve in the trunk, but there's generally only one reason why a tree is straight but leaning to one side, and that is that something forced the tree over and the roots were unable to hold it upright. This is a bad sign. Most of the time, when something like a storm pushes hard enough on a tree, the tree falls all the way to the ground, but sometimes a tree will only fall part way. If a tree starts going over but then stops, sometimes what you'll see is that the new growth that happens after that event goes straight up. We call this new growth that's growing straight up the correction, and the percentage of the overall tree that has a correction is a good indicator of how long ago the tree initially uprooted. A simplified example would be if a tree is 100 feet tall and 100 years old, and about 50 feet of the top of the tree is growing straight up and the bottom 50 feet is on an angle, then the event that pushed the tree over was probably about 50 years ago. I think about it like this. If a tree had some sort of event that caused it to partially uproot 50 years ago, but then the entire rest of its life, right up until the present day, it did not fall, then the tree has survived 50 years of storms and snow and wind, and it's demonstrated to some extent that it's able to hold itself upright. However, if a tree is straight from bottom to top, but there is no correction at the top, the entire thing is on an angle, then the event that pushed it over was likely recent. And it's really difficult to say whether or not it's just one big wind or one soil saturation event with the rain from falling over. Most of the time, if a tree has visible significant lean and there's no correction at the top and it's leaning towards some sort of target, be it a pathway or where you park your car or a house, I usually recommend that that tree be taken out.